For anybody, who said they disagree with me, it's still there, guys. It's still open. I'll let you come up here for a good 10 minutes. I mean, you can have a nice little back and forth, or I'll just let you monologue the whole way through to explain why you hate ICE so much. I mean, I'm a pretty nice guy. I'm gonna be real with you. I'll let you talk. But I mean, if you're just gonna sit there in the comments and cry, I mean, come on, especially when somebody's allowing you up, it's kind of pathetic. Which is okay. I mean, you can sit there and debate with the mods if you want to. Well, all right, man. Let's go on to our guy Thomas Massey on ABC News saying, "I don't think Pam Bondi has confidence in Pam Bondi," which is, well, it's pretty funny, and it's true. All right, let's get into it.
I'm joined now by Republican Congressman Thomas Massey of Kentucky, who helped lead the efforts to release the Epstein files. Good morning to you, Congressman. I would like your overall reaction to the hearing this week and Pam Bondi's performance, combativeness.
I don't think she did very well. She came with a book full of insults, one for each congressperson. She obviously had one for me. And, I've been there when Merrick Garland is there. Obviously, politically, I don't agree with him, but he performed much better in terms of at least not looking bad. And unfortunately, we didn't get the answers we wanted about the Epstein Files Transparency Act from her.
Did you get any of the answers you wanted?
No, but she did come off her script and engage with me about this production of documents, where she admitted that 40 minutes after I pointed out to the DOJ that they had over-redacted some of the documents, they did unredact those documents. So it's clear they've made mistakes in the document production. At least she acknowledges that tacitly. And it's clear that their work is not done here yet.
And I want to go to some of those unredacted files. You and Congressman Ro Khanna said names of some of the men who were redacted shouldn't have been redacted. They then sent that back to you, and two of them were not redacted. But on Friday, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche accused you and Congressman Khanna of unmasking those people, saying they had nothing to do with Epstein or Maxwell. They were from an FBI lineup years ago. What's your response to that?
Well, 3 hours before Todd Blanche himself unredacted those names, I told him in an X post, which I know he read because he reposted it, that those may be men in—
I'm sorry, hold on, bro. I gotta grill somebody. Like, bro, you right here, dog. You are like the most disingenuous person ever. I've literally watched you text nothing but lies the entire time. You said 70% of ICE detainments have been wrongful. 70%? 70,000 people have been detained by ICE in 2025 and only 170 were wrongfully detained. But you said 70% though. When that's like, bro, maybe less than 1%. So you've just been wrong this whole time. Like, you know what, bro? Just sit on your hands. You just sit on your hands.
A lineup. And then I went on TV and said those may be men in a lineup. And it was actually the DOJ who released those names, which is fine, but they omitted the context that I provided, which is these may be men in a lineup. Now, there were two men who needed to be named, one of whom has already resigned. The emirate, who's a sultan, resigned as a CEO of a very large company because we released his name. And there's another man, Leslie Wexner. I'll add him to the list with Jess Staley and Leon Black, who need to be investigated right now. They've appeared.
No, really. I'm glad he said that. Lex Wexner and Leon Black both need to be investigated. Both of them gave very large amounts of money to Epstein. I mean, Lex Wexner is the one who gave this man a house. Leon Black is the one who gave them, I think, like $100 million payment for financial advice. So, yeah, those two definitely need to be brought in.
Files. Leslie Wexner is the one who, Pam Bondi said, oh, he's appeared thousands of times in these documents. We're not covering up anything. But I pointed out to her, they redacted his name from the one document that says child sex trafficking co-conspirator.
Yep.
And my question is, who is the person at DOJ who redacted Leslie Wexner's name from a document titled child sex trafficking, with co-conspirator next to his name.
And I want to say right now that Wexner denies, and they say he was not a co-conspirator. Wexner has a statement. The assistant U.S. attorney told Mr. Wexner's legal counsel in 2019 that Mr. Wexner was neither co-conspirator nor target in any respect. Mr. Wexner cooperated fully by providing background information on Epstein and was never contacted again. But I'd like to move on if we can. Yesterday, the DOJ sent Congress a letter explaining the reason for all these reactions. So you are not satisfied with that?
No, they're citing deliberative process privilege in order not to release some of the documents. The problem with that is the bill that Ro Khanna and I wrote says that they must release internal memos and notes and emails about their decisions on whether to prosecute or not prosecute, whether to investigate or not investigate. It's important they follow that, because then we could find why they didn't prosecute Leslie Wexner. What was the decision tree there? And also why in 2008 they gave Jeffrey Epstein such a light sentence. And finally, I know the DOJ wants to say they're done with this document production. The problem is they've taken down documents before we were able to go over to the DOJ and look at the unredacted versions. They took down some of the most significant documents, two of them involving Virginia Giuffre's case and other things. The picture of Epstein in a room where it's got CIA written on the boxes, that's been taken down. We want to be able to look at all these files. They can't keep those documents down after they've already produced them.
I want to talk to you about one of the moments in the hearing, and that is the attorney general.
No, that's the problem. It seems like people that Jeffrey Epstein was directly working with, names get covered up. I mean, the torture video email, they covered that guy's name up. Guy, person, female, who knows? But all we know is that those who are helping Jeffrey Epstein traffic children, or who are buying children from Epstein, their names got redacted for some reason. Or those who are working closely with Epstein, like, you know, his assistants who will go out there and groom women as well, their names got redacted. Actually, they had a whole little, like, not really a pie chart, but what was it? They had a web. They had a little web that pointed to everybody that Epstein was in contact with when it came to child trafficking, and they redacted their faces. So yeah, what's going on with that?
General would not look at the Epstein survivors behind her. Did that surprise you?
I think that was kind of cold on her part. I think she was afraid to. And look, these survivors would love to have a meeting. It's not about Bill Clinton, and it's not about Donald Trump. This Epstein Files Transparency Act was about getting these survivors justice. We've got some degree of transparency, but it's called the Department of Justice, not the Department of Transparency. And so what these survivors need, they need to see some of their own 302 forms, which haven't been released. And they also need to see some of the men that they've implicated prosecuted.
Do you still have confidence in Pam Bondi as Attorney General?
I don't think Pam Bondi has confidence in Pam Bondi. She wasn't confident enough to engage in anything but name calling in a hearing. And so, no, I don't have confidence in her. She hasn't got any sort of accountability there at the DOJ. When I asked her specifically who redacted Leslie Wexner's name from the one document that mattered, she couldn't give me an answer. She wouldn't give me an answer. But ultimately, it's her who is responsible for the document production, according to our law. The Attorney General, it's not Todd Blanche. It's not the people below them. You can assign tasks to people, but you can't assign your responsibility.
And just very quickly, if you will, you've supported most of what Donald Trump has done during his presidency. But because of your actions with these files, he is supporting your primary opponent and has waged very personal attacks on you. I know we just have a few seconds here, but just your reaction to that.
Look, this is about the Epstein class, the people who are funding the attacks against me. They may or may not be implicated in these files, but they were certainly rubbing shoulders with the people who are in these files. They're billionaires who are friends with these people. And that's what I'm up against in Washington, D.C. Donald Trump told us that even though, you know, he had dinner with these kinds of
I'll be real with you. Despite the fact that, you know, Trump don't like Thomas Massie, he's sponsoring the person that's going against Thomas Massie. AIPAC is going against Thomas Massie, and yet he still holds popularity in his state. district, bro. Respect. And I hope he stays there.
People in New York City and West Palm Beach that he would be transparent, but he's not. He's still in with the Epstein class. This is the Epstein administration, and they're attacking me for trying to get these files released.
And again, I'm going to say President Trump has not been accused of anything criminal here.
Yep.
Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Yeah, there's no proof that Trump did any wrongs in the Epstein files, just uncorroborated witness testimony. That's all we got. There's no real proof, but there is proof of other people who are heavily involved that for some reason the Dems ignore because it's not Donald Trump. But I mean, they say they care about child trafficking, but they really don't. They only care about Donald Trump. It's kind of sad.
To discuss is White House border czar Tom Homan. Mr. Homan, thank you so much, as always, for joining us. So Democrats say that this shutdown with Department of Homeland Security funds is because they need to rein in ICE and CBP. Both of these agencies were fully funded in last year's One Big Beautiful Bill Act, we should note. So I guess the first question I have is, does this funding freeze in any way impact or limit your ability to carry out immigration operations across the country?
No, it doesn't. And ICE has continued to enforce law across the country. They're already funded. Now, the ICE officers won't be getting paid, but they're getting used to that, it seems like. So, no, the immigration mission, the reason why President Trump was elected to be president, continues. We have the most secure border in history of the nation. We got record numbers of arrests and deportations that will continue.
Are there any of the Senate Democrats' demands that you could live with? For example, Bavino's crew, it seems, could possibly benefit from some use of force guidelines.
Agreed.
Well, look, CBP, the Border Patrol, and ICE both have use of force guidelines. They both have operational instructions on, use of.
I'll say this: the guy hitting Alex Preddy with the paint can, that wasn't a good use of force conduct right there. I gotta come on now. Let's be real.
The minimum of force necessary to effectuate an arrest, and I've seen videos, and there's been pieces of videos and pieces of videos. In any instance where there has been allegations of misconduct or working outside the policy, has been referred to internal affairs. My first press conference in Minnesota, I said I was bringing in more internal affairs officers to review the allegations, and those allegations are now being investigated.
The shooting of Renee Good, there were prosecutors in Minnesota that were going to investigate that shooting, and then the word came down from Justice Department in Washington to stop that investigation.
Yeah, because being taken over by the Fed or the FBI. I mean, that's how it usually goes down when we're involving, well,